policies are you really pushing in this campaign?
Well, we want to make a difference. We've got a situation at the moment, not just in Wales, but in the whole of Britain, pardon me, where the government, our government in this democracy that we're supposed to live in, is pushing for a big war with Russia, Syria, Iran. We don't want that war. In 2003, the British government took us to war with Iraq. And before that happened, almost 1 million people went to London and marched against that war. And Parliament totally disregarded that, and they went to war anyway. Nearly 1 million people were killed in that war. Now, the same thing almost happened again a year ago. Parliament was recalled for a vote on whether to go to war with Syria. And in the meantime, in the 11th hour, 3 British National Party delegates, including Nick Griffin, took a treacherous trek to inside the war zone of Syria and met the Syrian government. And they said, the British people don't want to go to war with you. It's just our despotic government that wants you to believe that the British people want war. We don't. And he helped them write a letter. That letter was then emailed to Parliament, and it was that letter that stopped the war. And that's what this leaflet's all about. Now, that shows the power of an individual. Some people think, well, what can you do on your own? Just one person. It doesn't matter. If the message is the truth and it's the right one, then, you can change the world. It's a bit cold here. I'm shivering a little bit. But, yeah, you can do anything. You just have to have the belief that, that the people need to know who represents them, and we represent the people. We don't want war. We want to end the scam of the banking system and the phony national debt, and which doesn't exist, but they keep telling us it does. All of the parties, the Liberals, Labour, Conservative, even the UKIP are on that agenda. All of them say, we won't share a discussion with the BNP, because they want to demonise us. They don't want the truth to come out. They don't want the truth to come out about the paedophiles, child molesters and child rapists within the establishment. They've hidden the fact that those things have run rife within the Asian Muslim community, I should say. Not blaming Asians, because it's a specific type group who are doing it. And they'd been molesting and raping children for years and years, and the establishment's turned a blind eye to it. They even tried to they arrested and tried to jail our leader twice for exposing that. Now everyone's heard about it. But Nick Griffin didn't get the credit, nor did he get the credit for stopping that war last year. But potentially another 1 million people could have been killed, and it could have developed into World War III. So that is very, very significant. So we also want to re-establish the industry that we've lost in our country. Because we've got 1 million 16 to 24-year-olds unemployed. The figure, I believe, is a lot greater than that, because a lot of them get put on these job schemes, and that masks the figures of the true figure of unemployment. And whilst the other people are coming in from different parts of the world and other parts of the EU, employment agencies, and I won't mention any names of them, but there are lots about, and they earn more money by placing a foreign employee than they do for placing a local one. Now, that's why they're involved in giving the jobs to the foreigners rather than the locals, because they make money out of it. This whole scam that's happening to our country is all about people making money. Yeah, there are some people who have a strange ideology at the top, and the United Nations and the EU, and they have communitarian agents, Marxist agents in our community centres and town halls, manipulating, and even in schools. They're making kids have a biometric test. They've got to put their thumbprint to get their school dinner. That's outrageous. The children don't know that they don't have to allow it. The parents don't even know it's happening. Yet in Britain today, there's approximately 5 million children who have had their biometric details taken by the school and stored on this database, which all sorts of globalist companies have got access to. That is wrong. If the parents knew about that, they'd be up in arms. And we're going to tell them. We're going to tell all of these things. How we're going to regenerate the industry is that we're going to expose the big lie about the monetary system, where we keep getting told that the government borrows from the Bank of England. They don't borrow from the Bank of England. The Bank of England create money out of thin air and our taxes pay for all of the everything that's done. And they say, oh, well, you're not giving us enough money. We've now got to tax you even more than we did before. There's no need for it. There's no need for fracking. There's no need for bedroom tax. All we need is for the government to issue debt-free money. They don't have to repay that because it's produced by the government. They can rebuild this country, our industry, farm, fisheries, foods, car factories, boats, anything. All the things we used to do can be done again. And we in the British National Party will say, well, we don't want to compete on a global level. People will always argue these days, oh, protectionism is wrong, you have to compete with the globalists. We can't compete with globalists. British people, you and I can't compete with somebody who lives in a tent and little kids on a production line working like slaves in China getting 30 pence a day. You can't compete with that, nor can I. So if you take it to a 10th degree, we've got to protect our jobs in our country. Eventually, we believe we should do it now. And in doing, what's happening at the moment is that these foreign companies who are using slave labour, and they don't have to pay any regard to our health and safety regulations that British companies have to adhere to. They use these slaves to produce things just so that they can sell them on the Western market at a massive profit. So they're using slaves. Slavery is still going on today. We're totally opposed to it. Yet we're the ones who get called names for historic reasons. So we're opposed to that. And that also, not only is it slavery, it's also given foreign companies, globalist companies, an unfair competitive advantage over British manufacturers. And we'll end that. If people want to import foreign goods, then they can do that, but there'll be an import tax on it to make sure that it doesn't do British people out of a job.
Okay. And one last question. Why should people vote for you as opposed to the bigger parties who are likely to get seats in the European Parliament?
Well, that's a very good point. Right at this moment, we've only got one MEP. But I've just explained the power of that one individual. There's actually 3 of our people took that trek. And if you want to fly into a foreign country these days, you can do it quite easy. You go to the nearest airport, you get on a plane and you land. You can do it in a few hours. When you go into a war zone, they have to trek 28 hours overnight through very treacherous areas to get there. Now those 3 people did that. They then sent that letter to Parliament, and it was that letter, and all of the newspapers said it was that letter. The Guardian, the Telegraph, the Mail, even the BBC said, who wrote that letter? Who in Syria understands the British culture and the British Parliament so well that they can appeal to us in that manner? And it was Nick Griffin. And the newspapers know it. The BBC, your organisation, even went with him and witnessed everything that happened, but they didn't report on it. And I find that appalling, because all we ask for is fair play. You can call us all the names you want, but I think the people should be given all of the facts and then allowed to decide what way they want to vote.
So any last message for the people of Wrexham who are going to this election, or the people of North Wales?
Well, the people in North Wales and the people of where I come from originally, we're kindred people. My great-grandmother's family came from Wrexham. My wife's father is buried just around the corner, and his family are. We're all local people. And that imitation border between England and Wales hasn't always existed. If you read the book, The Blood of the Isles by Professor Brian Sykes, he points out that our race has been here for 15,000 years. And he's tested the DNA on 50,000 people all over the UK, and it's barely changed one iota in 15,000 years. So, this false segregation about, we're Welsh on this side of the border, on the other side is the enemy. That's a construct that's been created by people who want to divide and conquer us. We are the same race of people that's fought in 2 world wars, and when we went to war as Britain. We're the old Britons. We didn't go to war as England and Wales and Scotland and Ireland. We're British, and we want to remain British, and we want to protect our own people. Just like the American Indians and the Eskimos should be protected in their land, this is our land, and we need to be protected. And we have people on the telly saying, let's preserve the lion and the tiger. Yeah, let's preserve those things. But our race, our people are being eradicated. We're being replaced in our own nation, and that is wrong. We need to stop that now. there's programs going on. I mentioned communitarianism before, which is driven by the United Nations, which is another strange construct. They're actually forcing people to have less children in this country. Yet the people who come into the country can have as many children as they want, and they make lots of money out of the child benefit system and family credits and everything. Whereas the indigenous British people nowadays have 1.4 kids. And one last point on that particular subject is the most popular name for a boy these days, a newborn baby, is Muhammad. Now this is in Pakistan. Whatever they want to do in Pakistan is their own business, or any other Arab nation. This is Britain, and we should be ruling our own country.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's great.
Spread the word to beat the media blackout. I think it's appalling that if anyone else did that sort of thing, they'd be awarded or at least nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize for potentially saving the lives of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. But to completely black it out through the media shows a strange attitude towards the truth, which is appalling. And that's what the BBC is supposed to stand for, informing us of the truth.